Christopher Mad Dog Russo. Mad Dog Sports Radio. Yes, he's still on the radio. Sirius XM. You can see him on First Take as well, and weekdays on MLB with some high heat. Mad Dog joins us now. Hi, Chris. How are you?
Good job with the Beatles. I didn't realize that story. Excellent on your part. Excellent job. Enjoyed that. Why today Beatles? Is there an anniversary I'm not aware of? What's going on?
The Beatles just had that song that came out yesterday, where it's called Now and Then, where it was something that John wrote in the mid-'70s, recorded it. Yoko gave it to Paul. Paul, all these years, has been trying to come up with something, and he got together with Ringo and George while he was still alive, and then they put out that song that was yesterday. So
wow, how about that? I didn't realize that. Good job on your part. Boy, how could you not? The Ron Howard documentary on the Beatles is tremendous. I'm sure you saw that. It was great. He did a great job with it.
What did you think of Peter Jackson's documentary on the Beatles?
The one that was the 10-part one?
Yeah.
I got a little bored with it. I have to admit, it was the same thing day after day after day. It was unique, the month of January, and then you see the concert there on the top of the roof. But I did get a little bored with it. I have to admit, I got a little bored with it. But I mean, you can tell how brilliant they are. And, they come so naturally. They can sit there and wake up after not sleeping. They can just show up at a thing, half in a bag, and they go out there and they put songs together. That's how great they were.
They weren't half in the bag as much as the Rolling Stones were.
Oh, I agree. I completely agree with that. The Rolling Stones, I didn't realize their first appearance on Sullivan was in June in 1964. And I think the Beatles was that previous February. So it was pretty close that the Stones did the Ed Sullivan Show 3 or 4 months after the Beatles basically woke up America when they did I Want to Hold Your Hand. When was that? I think February of 1964, if I'm not mistaken. I think. He's
Mad Dog Russo, and you're still on the radio. I know that.
Yes.
I wasn't rooting for the Diamondbacks until you said that you would retire if the Diamondbacks got to the World Series. And I thought, well, I don't want you to retire, but I do want to see what you do if the Diamondbacks get to the World Series. Then you go to the World Series. You're in Arizona. How did the fans treat you when you got there?
Funny, I was in the center field bleachers where the radio crew was. The high heat thing was on the field. The center field bleachers for the radio. So 3 days, I'm on 4 to 7 New York time, which is obviously about an hour before game time. That's, 1 to 4. And the game's at 5:03. So all the fans are below me on that little ramp there in the center field bleachers. I would say 80% totally into it. Pictures, autographs, Mad Dog, don't retire. And then I would say 20% nasty. Get out of here. What do you know about the baseball? Da-da-da-da. Retire already. So I would say about 8 of 10 were good. 20% were bad. Now remember, I took my Northern Arizona, my kids in Northern Arizona, who plays at UConn on Monday night, by the way, their opener, and he's the third assistant. So I I got 5 tickets Monday night to bring the coaches down. So that was sort of a little camouflage. How are they going to boo me when I'm kissing my kid who I haven't seen since August? That's number one. I'll tell you, the guy who gets it is Torey Lovello.
Yeah.
He is, well, you know that better than anybody. He understands entertainment. He grew up on the set of All in the Family, because his father was the executive producer of Hee Haw, which is a CBS show. So he grew up on a set of All in the Family, so he understands entertainment. So he got it the whole way through. And sort of Derek Hall, their CEO, some of the fans got a little nasty. That's part of the deal. You got to. Now, who thought I was going to retire anyway? You didn't think that, for crying out loud.
I thought it would have been an unbelievable move. Unbelievable if you walked away from your radio show. Is that where you made the guarantee?
Yes, I did.
Okay, so I thought, now granted, you're walking away from a lot of money, but that would have been ultimate because we do this a lot. Oh, if that team wins, I'll walk to Philadelphia. Like that local people like to do those things. If you said, no, this is my word, you're a man of integrity. Did you even think of, how did it go over with your wife at home when you said, hon, I did something stupid?
Well, the one thing she didn't like was the bikini walk down Fifth Avenue.
Okay, so, Howard Stern wanted you to wear a bikini.
So that wasn't going to work, because Mrs. Russo was not going to stand for that, and I can't blame her. She's used to the nonsense. I don't think she heard it. The first thing that I was going to give up, Dan, was going to the UConn game on Monday night. Did you know that?
No.
That was the first thing I said. If they win the 2 in Philly, 6 and 7, I won't go because I'm not going to work Monday. I won't go to UConn, Northern Arizona. And then I said, hold on now. That's too painful. I got to be there for his first game. So then I threw in to retire. I could care less. So in essence, I really probably should have shown the guts. You're 1,000% correct. I probably should have done that. So I have to take the responsibility that I was too carefree about it. And if you want to call me mad fraud instead of mad dog, I have to live with it. I have to live with it. The funny thing is, you probably don't know this, is I wasn't going to the World Series. I was not going. When I did that, that was Tuesday. They win Tuesday night. I go do the first take on Wednesday morning. Did you know that baseball called me at 11 a.m.? Chris, you have to go to the World Series. Now, how could you not go now? I couldn't go to the first 2 games. I said, okay, I'll maneuver. I got to get the radio out there. It's a lot of moving parts. You got to make sure you have a set for the first take. I got to leave for 4 days. Plus, I did the Hall of Fame last night in New York, emceeing it. So I had to make sure I got back for that. Make a long story short, I said, here's the deal. I'll go to the 3 games in Arizona, which is what I did.
He's Mad Dog Russo, and you can hear him in the afternoon, Sirius XM, also High Heat and First Take. Why is it we have a record book for Wilt Chamberlain and then everybody else, but we don't have a record book just for Babe Ruth and everybody else? Because Wilt, to me, is Babe Ruth of basketball. But it feels like, because Wilt made his debut and had like 41 points and 40 rebounds in his like second or third game in the NBA. But Wilt's numbers don't matter. They're not like real. Why is that?
It's a little different. The 100 points will stand up in history, Dan. Everybody's going to remember. Everybody's going to know who follows basketball. Hershey, PA against the Knicks. He scores 100 points. Now, there was a lot of things about that game. I know you know this. I don't know if our audiences do, that are a little weird. First off, did you know the Warriors at the time, they fouled the Knicks in the last 10 minutes of the game, every 5 seconds to stop the clock, make the Knicks shoot the free throws so they can get Wilt the ball to get the 100. So if that happened today, people would be screaming. I know I wouldn't like that. And the Knicks tried to throw the ball all over the place and play keep away so they wouldn't get fouled. And then they tried to foul Wilt a lot to make sure he missed some free throws. Because the whole idea was the Knicks didn't want him to get to 100, and Philly did. The game was a blowout, so they fooled around with the game a lot. And and he shot 28 of 32 from the line that night, which is pretty amazing, in Hershey, Pennsylvania, in front of 4,000 people. But you're right, the Wilt numbers, what number do you think was more significant there for a period of time? Wilt's 100 or Ruth's 714?
I would say 714 because that was over a career. Whereas Wilt had that wonderful night. Kobe had 81. Elgin Baylor had a big night. Like, guys have had big nights. Babe 714 was, felt unapproachable. I mean, 100 does, but I've asked players, and they feel like in today's game, shooting threes, that if somebody, really had one of those nights that you could come close. I mean, Kobe had 81, but that game was close with Toronto.
Last game of the year. Well, no, it wasn't the last game of the year. No, it wasn't the last game. And that was the game against
Dallas.
When he had a big game in his last game.
Oh, Utah.
Yeah. He had a big game. Yeah, but no, he didn't have. But he had 50. He didn't have 81.
No.
Yes, I mean, I could see somebody going out there making 23s. Something crazy like that. That's 60 points. I could then make some free throws and everything else.
But the game has to be close, though.
Yes,
I think, to stay in the game.
The game does have to be close. I think the routes, it's tricky. I think the game has to be close. Listen, Ruth, he had so many unbelievable numbers. I think all the numbers get obscured by the home runs. I mean, it's a 341 or 340 something lifetime hitter. He hit the 60 homers that Maris surpassed. His runs scored, his RBIs, his walks, his on-base percentage. You can have a catalog
and pitching
of numbers. I think the two that stand out are the 60 and the 714. I mean, even today, people know that Ruth, who follow baseball, now Judge broke it, Maris broke it, but they knew that Ruth was the first to hit the magical number of 60. Wilt's number, the one number is the 100. I think people know that he's averaged 50 a game in that same season. I think people know that. Don't you think most basketball fans know that in 62 he averaged 50.2 points a game?
I don't know. I think I don't think anybody would be surprised that he averaged 50. He had.
They put two and two together.
No, I don't know if they go. I think they know 100 points in Wilt Chamberlain and these numbers. But he would put up big numbers against Bill Russell.
Oh, he sure did. As a matter of fact, the game that you referred to there, when he had 41, and that was the first game he had against Russell. Oh, he played great against Russell. No way. No, he didn't play great necessarily against him in the playoffs, but he played. Did you see the Chamberlain documentary on Showtime?
Yeah.
They did a great job at that. That was excellent. And they showed you all sorts of highlights as a player. They brought up the fact that he had the torn ACL and he came back early in 1960. He hurt it in 68, 69. He hurt it the following year. He came back against the Knicks. And how about that tremendous scene they showed you at Kansas when they retired his number? And he's crying at mid-court at halftime of a Kansas game, which I had never seen before. Had you seen that?
No, I had not.
I had never seen. That was a CBS game. I don't remember that. That was great.
I know.
With Wilt at the half crying how this game he took to his grave, and then he died 8 months later.
When is it too soon to have, I don't like to say hot take, but Victor Wembanyama is going to be one of the great players of all time.
I agree.
Okay. I know we're only we're 5 games in, but I don't deal with hyperbole or hot takes, but I'm just looking at this. The only thing that will prevent him from being one of the all-time greats will be injury.
His body.
Yeah.
His body. I saw the first 2 games, parts of it when he was at home. They split, and you could just tell he's all over the place. I had PJ on about last week, and I said, one thing here, PJ, is I could see Pop not playing in that many games. And he said, Pop will play him plenty of games. Not 82, but he'll play him 75 games, but he'll keep the minutes down.
Yeah.
So he won, he'll play him a lot of games that he'll keep the minutes down. But how about the game last night? He scores 38 points. He makes big baskets all over the place. He shoots threes. Now he's frail. But he's going to keep Pop in the league for the next 10 years. I mean, that's all there is to it. I mean, and Pop loves it anyway, which is a great thing for the NBA. And, they beat Phoenix twice. That's 2 good wins on the road against Phoenix. He scores 38 points. What do you have, 13 rebounds last night?
I think he was 38-10. But, here's Pop, who struggled the last couple of years, and he finds his next Tim Duncan, whereas Bill Belichick has struggled.
Good point.
And he's trying to find a Victor Wembanyama to keep his career going. Yeah,
you got to find a quarterback. I mean, he found a player now, Pop, with the draft pick, with a lottery, that he can win some championships with. And Belichick has not found a quarterback. Mac Jones, I'm not trying to kill him, but let's be fair, he's not a Super Bowl quarterback. He has not found a Super Bowl quarterback after Brady. So one guy is going to go down in flames, and the other guy is going to have a tremendous send-off. So it's amazing how it works. Tells you got to have the players. If you have the players, the great coach can do his thing. If you don't have the players, I don't care who you are, the coach is going to struggle. Belichick's won one playoff game without Brady in his career. With Testaverde, he beat the Patriots. One playoff game in an illustrious Hall of Fame kind of career, when you think about it.
I want to touch on your sport before we say goodbye. Bruce Bochy is one of the nicest people I've ever met in baseball, and probably was a Hall of Famer before he got this win with the Rangers. But the Rangers played a different style of baseball. It wasn't predicated on we're going to strike everybody out or we're going to, hit home runs. That it felt a little more of what baseball used to be. I don't know if this is just a one-off, an aberration, but did the Rangers' offensive strategy, did they kind of stumble upon something here that might be imitated around the league?
Maybe more so Arizona with their base stealing and bunting and speed and athleticism. I mean, let's face it, Texas still hit the ball out of the ballpark. I mean, Seager hit home runs. Simeon hit 2 big home runs. They still hit some home runs in this series.
Is Seager a Hall of Famer?
Yes, he's on his way. Not this second, but I mean, Dan, he's a 2-time MVP, two different teams. Only Reggie can say that.
Yeah, but Reggie had a better resume. Seager's got 1,000 hits, but
Right.
at that position.
Seager's not a Hall of Famer this second if he retired tomorrow, but he puts another 3-4 years like this. He is a top 10 player in the sport.
Okay, we brought this up. Would you rather be Mike Trout or Corey Seager?
Seager.
Would you rather be Julian Edelman or Randy Moss?
Moss. I know Edelman's got the Super Bowls.
Okay. All right. I'm just curious about that. But
and you're right. Edelman's got the Super Bowls, but Moss has the greatness. Seager has both. See, Seager and Trout have both. Because they're both probably going to be a Hall of Famers. Edelman's not a Hall of Famer.
No.
So here's the point. Would you rather be a Hall of Famer without the rings or very good with the rings? Boy, that's a tough call.
Yeah, we debate. Would you rather be Eli or Dan Marino?
Both will make it Hall of Fame. But let's say Eli wasn't going to be in the Hall of Fame. I think you'd probably rather take the rings, right?
Probably. Here's something for you you may not be aware of. When Wilt averaged 50, he averaged 25 rebounds. He didn't win the MVP.
Who did?
Bill Russell, named MVP, but he was named All-NBA second team. So Russell.
Wow. So they named Russell the MVP.
And he was second team All-NBA.
And Wilt was first team All-NBA. I didn't know that.
I don't know if anybody has ever been MVP and not first team All-NBA.
That is a great one. Wow.
Yeah.
You got into an interesting theme today. I'm going to use that myself on my show a little later on. Good job.
All right.
That's why I get them on. I get good information.
Don't make any stupid predictions. All right?
Yeah, no more. That's
For
it.
a while. For a while. Great to talk to you, dog.
See you later.
Thank you, buddy. Mad Dog Russo, host of Mad Dog Unleashed, Sirius XM, and he has High Heat on MLB Network, and you'll see him occasionally on First Take.